It was 1 year ago this Saturday that Donald J. Trump took the oath of office to become president of the United States. Love him or hate him, and there's rarely anyone in between, he has shaken up Washington, his own administration, and certainly news coverage around the world. And here to reflect on the past year as well as where we are and what's ahead are Denver Post columnist Krista Kafer and Blair Miller of the denverchannel.com. So glad you both are here to talk about this with us. So let's talk about this anniversary. I think for people who thought things never really changed in Washington, President Trump has really changed things in Washington.
It's certainly been a change, and it's been a really interesting year. If you're into political science, it's been a fabulous year. If you're into comedy, I will say this, you know what, he has managed to make SNL great again, and I think that's terrific.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm only 30 years old, but I think this is certainly the most polarizing year that I've ever seen in politics in my lifetime. You know, no lack of surprises from either side, and I think that, you know, it's going to be an interesting another year.
Yeah, he's made Facebook interesting too, for that matter. Let's talk about his hits and misses for the year.
Well,
I think
the first obvious hit would be getting Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court. You know, that was, I think, the biggest push for Republicans over the past couple of years, really, since the whole Merrick Garland thing happened. And I think that's proven to already be a success on their part, both for the court and for Congress and the president. Beyond that, you know, there's been tax bill.
Yeah. Some deregulation. Economy's going strong. I think, like you said, Judge Gorsuch, absolutely fantastic. So there's been some hits. There's been some good things that have happened this year.
And let's talk about misses.
Every time he opens up his Twitter account, probably.
Right, and I think, you know, as we continue to see, you know, DACA and CHIP continue to be an issue, and, you know, it was sort of put in place by the administration at the beginning when letting CHIP expire, letting DACA, giving the 6-month window. And, you know, I think Democrats would say there's a lot more of that, but, you know, that's really, I think, the story of the first year is Democrats and Republicans pitted very hard against each other, and we haven't really seen hardly any bipartisanship throughout that whole year.
No, he's been very polarizing, and I think exacerbating those tensions. Also, I have to look internationally. We have alienated our allies. Think about how you feel if you're an African nation that has been a supporter of the U.S. There are our European allies and others that just don't know if this president's going to stand behind them.
Krista, you mentioned his tweeting and language this year. Do you think this is the new norm for what's coming out of the White House, or do you think President Trump is just his own president?
Well, they've counted, what, 2,000 times he's either been mistaken or deliberately lied in the last year. I think that sets a bar. Can he outdo it next year? I think he can.
Well, and I think we've seen, you know, this, some other world leaders that, you know, are not strong leaders of democracies have sort of taken some of his you know, lingo and attitude towards press in their own country, people in their own countries. And, you know, we've seen the State Department be gutted. We've seen, you know, lots of foreign jobs sort of just not filled at the moment. And so I think that is also having an influence on the foreign relations that we're having.
And I'm still holding my breath on NAFTA. I mean, he backed out of TPP, right, which would have been good for us economically. Let's just hope he's not able to undo NAFTA, because that could actually push us into a depression.
Right.
You know, he says, though, that he's not getting enough credit. I mean, look at the stock market. I mean, it's at a record high. Do you see that in the media? Is the media not giving him enough credit when credit is due?
Well, I think part of that is a push from outside where there's not quite this understanding of how fiscal years work and how carryovers from the previous administration have come into effect. So in the next few months, we are going to start seeing what the Trump administration is doing, effect on the market, effect on other things. And I think that's when, you know, there will be more credit given one way or another, but, you know, he's been right saying this is Trump, but a lot of this is carried over from the previous administration.
Well, and, you know, it's the American people that ultimately are responsible for the economy, and so I think we ought to salute ourselves for what we've been able to do. I will give him credit for some deregulation. I'll give him some credit that I think he has sparked some optimism in certain business sectors, such as energy, so I'll give him credit for that.
Okay, so we have less than a minute. Each of you, I'm going to give each of you 20 seconds. Tell me what 2018 holds for us.
I think 2018 is going to be either the year that we push ourselves further away, or there's something that makes everybody come together a little bit more. But I think it's going to be one way or another, and I think that we are going to see a huge wave in 2018 in the election in November.
Yeah, it may not go well. I do think it's going to be a great year for satire, so I'm looking forward to it.
Your favorite topic.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you both so much. I always appreciate your insight. All right. Thank you so much for watching today. By the way, if you ever have a question or a segment idea for us, just tweet us at Denver 7 Politics. And don't forget, you can watch today's segments anytime at thedenverchannel.com/Politics Unplugged. Again, thank you so much for watching. We will see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics Unplugged.